Hi friends, so today we'll study the structure of muscle spindle. It is very important to understand the concept and structure because it's an important question for your university exam. So in this video, I will teach you only the structure. And the function, alpha, gamma, coactivation, I'll be taking in the coming videos. So let's get started. So what is a muscle spindle? So usually all will get confused about the muscle fibers, muscle spindle, myofilaments and all. All these are not same. So before going to the structure, we'll see what is a muscle, what is a muscle fiber and what is a muscle spindle. So what is a muscle? So muscle is an organ which is made up of muscle fibers. So as you know, our body have lot of organs. Each organs are made up of cells. Same like that, muscle is an organ which is made up of muscle cells. So that muscle cells are called muscle fibers. Okay. Now what is this muscle spindle? Muscle spindles are sensory receptors. So muscle spindles are receptors of the muscle. Where it is present in between these muscle fibers. Okay. So you should know what is a muscle fibers, that is a cells of muscle, and what is a muscle spindle, that is the receptors of the muscle. So these basic things you should know before going to the structure. Got it? Now we'll see how the muscle fibers and muscle spindles are arranged in our body. Suppose this is a muscle. Where the muscle fibers will be? Yes, the muscle fibers will be inside the muscle, or the muscle cells or muscle fibers are unit of the muscle. The muscle fibers are together becoming a whole muscle. Okay, so these are the muscle fibers. Got it? How the muscle fibers are made? So this muscle fibers, each muscle fibers are made up of a thin filaments. Okay, and that is called myofibril. That is called myofibrils. So lots of myofibrils are together becoming the muscle fibers. Lots of muscle fibers are together becoming a muscle. Okay. Now, where the muscle spindle will be arranged? Is it inside the muscle fibers? No, it is not inside the muscle fibers. Actually, it is placed or it is located in between the muscle fibers. Okay, as you can see, in between the muscle fiber, in between space of the muscle fiber, these muscle spindles or the receptors of the muscles will be present. Lot of students will get confusions here. They may think like these muscle spindles will be present inside the muscle fibers. But no, actually the muscle spindle is present in between the muscle cells or the muscle fibers. So how this muscle fibers is arranged inside? It is actually encapsulated by thin connective tissue. That is why the muscle spindle and muscle fibers are separated. The muscle spindles are encapsulated by a thin connective tissue. Okay, so inside that connective tissue or inside that capsule, there will be some kind of fluid also. Okay, so with that thin connective tissue, this muscle fibers and the muscle spindles are actually separated. Okay, so muscle spindles are located in between the muscle fibers. It is encapsulated by a thin connective tissue and inside there will be some kind of fluid. Inside this muscle spindle, there will be some kind of small fibers, small filaments. Okay, and that is called intrafusal fibers. So indra means inside. So the fibers which is present inside the muscle spindles are called intrafusal fibers. So what extrafusal fibers will be? Yes, extra means outside. So extrafusal fibers will be outside the muscle spindle. So this is a muscle spindle. So it will be outside. That means this extrafusal fibers are actually our muscle fibers only. Okay. So this extrafusal muscle fibers are our actual muscle cell or the actual muscle fibers. Okay. Don't get confused. Extrafusal fibers are nothing but these muscle fibers or muscle cell only. Okay, so that is the basic thing you should know. So where the muscle will be, how the muscle is arranged. Okay, so this is a muscle. So inside the muscle there will be muscle cells and that is called the muscle fibers. Okay, each muscle fibers are made up of myofibrils. Now, the muscle spindle is the receptors of the muscle which will be present in between the muscle fibers. Inside the muscle spindle will be some kind of fibers, and that is called intrafusal fibers. The actual muscle fibers or muscle cells which is present outside the muscle spindles are called extrafusal fibers. Understood? The base is clear now. Now we'll see the structure of the muscle spindle. So this is the muscle spindle. So inside the muscle spindle, there will be some kind of fibers. So that is called intrafusal fibers. Okay. And we have actually two type of intrafusal fibers. Intrafusal fibers are of two type. So one is nuclear bag fiber and another one is nuclear chain fiber. Two type of intrafusal fibers, nuclear bag fiber and nuclear chain fiber. So this is a nuclear bag fiber. So in the central part, actually this is bulged and it is somewhat like a bag in the center portion. That is why the name is nuclear bag fiber. So this is two kind of nuclear bag fiber. So first one is dynamic nuclear bag fiber and the second one is static nuclear bag fiber. Then we have this nuclear chain fiber. So nuclear chain fibers don't have any bag-like structure or bulging in the center. It is just arranged like a chain. That is why the name nuclear chain fibers. So muscle spindle is having intrafusal fibers present inside. We have two type of intrafusal fibers, nuclear bag and nuclear chain fibers. So this is a nuclear bag fibers. So it is having bulged bag-like structure in the center, and nuclear chain fibers don't have any kind of structure like that. It is actually somewhat like a chain. That is why the name is nuclear bag and nuclear chain fibers. Again, nuclear bag fibers is of two types. One is dynamic nuclear bag fibers, another one is static nuclear bag fiber according to the function. So in total, actually, we have three kind of intrafusal fibers: the dynamic nuclear bag fiber, static nuclear bag fiber, and the nuclear chain fiber. Clear? Now we'll see the nuclear or the central portion of these fibers. So in the central portion of the fibers have nucleus. How the nucleus is arranged in this nuclear bag fiber? So in the nuclear bag fibers, nucleus are arranged in a group, but in the chain fibers, it is just arranged in a linear fashion. The whole intrafusal fibers is actually divided into two part. So this central portion and the peripheral portion. So this is the central portion of the intrafusal fiber and these two are the peripheral portion of the fiber. Central part is actually the sensory part and these two peripheral part is actually the motor part. So as we already discussed, these muscle spindles are actually the receptor of the muscle. So receptors means what? This will be getting activated with the stimuli. So if the stimuli is coming means this receptors will sense that stimuli and will give information to the higher sender. Just like that. So spindle is the only receptor which is having both sensory part and the motor part actually. Now we'll see the innervation. So this is the sensory part. These two are the motor part. Now we'll see the innervation to the sensory part. So the sensory part is getting innervation from two fibers. Two sensory fiber innervation is coming and ending in this sensory portion. So first innervation is this innervation and this fiber is called 1A fiber or primary fiber. Sensory nerve fiber is coming and it is innervating in all three intrafusal fibers. So it is innervating to the dynamic nuclear bag fiber, it is innervating in the static nuclear bag fiber, it is also innervating in the nuclear chain fibers. How it is innervating or how it is ending over here? So it is ending in such a way that it is actually coiled around. It is actually in a spiral fashion it is arranged. Okay. So that is why this ending is called annulospiral ending. Okay. This ending is called annulospiral ending. We have one more fibers which is coming and innervating to the sensory part. That is this fiber. This is called 2 fiber. This is the 2 fiber. This is coming and innervating only to the static nuclear bag fiber and to the nuclear chain fiber, but not to the dynamic nuclear bag fiber. It is innervating only to static nuclear bag fiber and the chain fiber. So this kind of ending is called flower spray ending. This is called flower spray ending. Okay. So 1A fibers ending is called annulospiral ending. 2 fiber ending is called flower spray ending. And these two nerve fibers are the sensory innervation, which is coming and innervating to this sensory part of the intrafusal fibers. Now we'll see the motor innervation. So where this motor innervation will go? Yes, to this motor or the peripheral part. So this is the motor nerve fiber, and that is called gamma fiber, is coming and innervating all three intrafusal fibers just like the primary one. Sensory innervations are called 1A fiber and 2 fiber. Motor innervation is called the gamma fiber. So this is the muscle spindle. Side fibers are called the intrafusal fibers. So where the extrafusal fiber will be? Yes, around or outside the muscle spindle we have the extrafusal fibers. Okay, so these are the extrafusal fiber or our actual muscle spindle or the muscle cells. Now we'll revise all the structure once again. So this is the muscle spindle which is present inside a capsule containing fluid. This is the muscle spindle. Then we have two kind of fibers, extrafusal and intrafusal fibers. Extrafusal fibers is these fibers. This is actually our muscle fibers or the muscle cell. Now these are the intrafusal fibers which is actually present inside the capsule or inside the muscle spindle. Then we have three kind of intrafusal fibers. These two are called the nuclear bag fiber and this is called the nuclear chain fiber according to their structure. Nuclear bag fiber, the fibers is having a bag-like structure in the center portion and nucleus is arranged in a group. In nuclear chain fibers, it is arranged like a chain. Nucleus are arranged in linear fashion. So then this portion, this part is called the central part or the sensory part of this receptor, and these two part are called the peripheral part or the peripheral motor part of the receptor. So actually the kind of sensation is perceived in this central portion and a kind of response which is happening in this motor or the peripheral part. Okay. So these are two type of nuclear bag fiber. We have a dynamic nuclear bag fiber and a static nuclear bag fiber according to the structure. Then coming to the innervations, we have three innervations actually. Two are sensory innervation and one is the motor innervation. So first sensory innervation is this primary nerve fiber or 1A nerve fiber which is going and innervating to all three intrafusal fibers in a fashion like it will be spiraling or coiling around the fiber. So that kind of ending is called annulospiral ending. Then we have 2 fiber and that is going and innervating to static nuclear bag fiber and the chain fiber. Then we have motor nerve fiber that is coming and innervating to the motor part and to all the 3 intrafusal muscle fibers. Okay, so 1A and 2 are sensory nerve fiber and gamma is the motor fiber. 1A fiber ending is called annulospiral and the gamma and second ending is called the flower spray ending. So that is the structure of a muscle spindle. If you have any kind of doubts, do comment in the comment box. So hope you understand the class. Thank you.